everything you need to know and all the differences you must learn between var, let, and constant keywords to create variables in JavaScript, starting now. On the left, I have a basic HTML page open and I am linking to my JavaScript file. And on the right, I have my live server open. Now I want to go ahead and go into my JavaScript file here. And I want to start by declaring a variable using the keyword var. And to do this, you simply want to type var and then whatever you want to name your variable. And here we're simply going to name our variable x. And then we're going to make that equal to 10. We're going to go ahead and hit save. And then on our live server, we're going to right click, inspect our page, and go to the console here. And as you guys can see, nothing is printing in our console. Now, if we type X into our console here and press enter, it's going to give us back the value that we declared our variable as. So var is simply the keyword used to declare this type of variable. X is your variable name and 10 is the value that is stored in your X variable here. Now that you guys understand how to declare a basic variable using var, now I'm gonna add a basic function in my JavaScript code here called demonstrate var. And this is gonna run an if statement that if our value is true, we're going to declare our X variable as 10 here, and then we're simply going to log the value here. And keep in mind, in JavaScript, you have to actually call the function to run it. As we move through this video, keep in mind that for all the variable types we're talking about today, you have to declare that variable before you use it or you're going to run into issues. So let's say that I try and console.log this variable here before declaring it like so. What's going to happen is I'm going to get an undefined message here. So you want to make sure that you're declaring your variables first and then using them. And for now, I'm gonna comment out this console log here. And what you guys are gonna notice is that our value is printed out here in our console automatically because we're using the console.log here. And then we have the string using var and then X is 10, so that's why it's printing 10 here. Now, if I uncomment out this console.log here, what this is going to do is it's going to print this twice, because when you create a variable using var, it's going to be created in the function scope. And what that means is that it's going to be available in this entire function. And keep in mind, you can use this to declare a global variable, which is accessible anywhere in your code, simply if you keep it outside of any type of function or block here, just like so. But for now, what we're gonna do is keep it in here. And you're gonna notice that both of these statements run successfully because they're both within our function. But now, if we try and access our X variable outside of our function here, now it's not going to work. It's going to give us an X is not defined because we are outside of the function scope here. Having a variable that's available in the function scope here might seem useful, but it can actually lead to a lot of issues. So that's one of the big problems with the var keyword. Now, the other problem with the var keyword is that it's going to let us redeclare our variable without any type of error message to let us know that we did so. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna redeclare my X variable and make it equal to 11 and save that. Now over here, you guys can see that it's printing 10 because of my console log here, and then it's printing 11 because I'm redeclaring my variable here and then console.logging it down below here. And this method of redeclaring our variables again might seem useful, but it is not, because let's say you accidentally type out a new variable with the exact same name as another variable. It's going to redeclare the original variable that you had, and you're going to run into a lot of issues that way. Lastly, I want to point out that you can reassign a variable when you declare it with the keyword var. What I mean by this is I can now change my variable down here and make this equal to 11. And you might be asking, what the heck is the difference between this and redeclaring your variable? This, I am simply reassigning my variable, which is okay, but you don't want to redeclare your variables. So that's what's going on here. And now if I click and save this, it's going to do the same thing, but now I'm actually reassigning the value of my variable in JavaScript correctly without redeclaring it. Now I want to move on to the let keyword. This is again going to be another keyword that you can use to declare a variable. So we're simply going to type let, and then we're going to name our variable y, and we're going to make this equal to 5 here. Now again, if you save this and type y and hit enter into your console, you're going to notice that your y variable is accessible and it prints the value 5 because that's what we declared here. And again, if you keep this outside of any function or outside of any block in your JavaScript code, it is going to be a global variable, which means that it can be accessible anywhere in your code after you declare that variable. So if I have any functions or blocks below this variable here, I can access this value. That's not necessarily the correct way to pass this value into a function or into an if statement or something like that, but know that you can do it. So here we have a basic function that is called demonstrate let, and we are calling it down below so we can successfully print out our values. And all we have is a basic if statement in here that declares our y variable is equal to 20 using the let keyword, and then we're printing this value to our console. So if we save that, our value of 20 is going to be successfully printed to our console here. If you declare a variable using let, you can also reassign your value like so. So if I comment out these lines here where I'm reassigning y to equal 40, and then I'm logging out y to my console, you're going to notice that I have 20 here because I'm declaring my variable is equal to 20, and then I'm immediately logging that variable, and then I'm reassigning it to 40, and then I'm logging it again. So that's why my value is 40 here for y. Now I want to get into the scope when you use the let keyword. It's only going to be available in the block that you declare it in. So if I try and console.log my y value here, it's not going to work because it's only accessible within this if block here. It's not accessible within my else block. So this is going to be block scope here, and then function scope is going to be my entire function scope. And this is one of the biggest differences between the var and let keyword, is because var is function scope and let is only available in a block scope. And now I want to uncomment this line of code where I'm simply logging my value to my console. If I control save that and refresh, you're going to notice that I'm going to get a y is not defined error, because again, my variable is only readable in the block scope, meaning it's only available in this particular portion of my code here. Now you can make this available to your entire function if you specify it as such by moving it up, and now you guys can see it is in the function scope because that's the block that it is declared inside of. Now if I save and refresh that, you're going to notice that this value successfully prints. This might sound difficult, but once you start using JavaScript a lot, it's going to come in handy because it keeps you from making mistakes. So we declared our variable here is equal to 20, and then we're simply logging this out, as you guys can see here. But now if we try and redeclare our variable y equal to 10, it's actually going to push an error code because we already declared it above. So what this is going to do is it's going to keep you from making mistakes when you are coding using JavaScript. It's going to say identifier y has already been declared, and that's the way it needs to be in JavaScript. You only want to declare variables one time, but again, you can reassign this by making it equal to 10, and now you are properly programming with JavaScript. So you can reassign let as many times as you want, but you never want to redeclare it, and the same thing goes with all other variables in JavaScript. Now I want to move on to the const keyword, and to declare a variable using the const keyword, you simply type const and then the name of your variable, which in our case is going to be z, and then we're going to make this equal to 15. And if we refresh our page, type in Z, hit enter, you're gonna see that our value of 15 is accessible. And the biggest difference with the const keyword is it's not going to let you reassign this variable at all. So this is really useful if you want to declare a variable that should never change. And I'm gonna show you guys this right now. So if I try and say Z is now equal to 20, I'm going to get an error code because I'm not able to reassign a const variable. And you guys are gonna see that it says assignment to constant variable, because again, I am not able to redeclare a const and I am not able to reassign a const either here. So this is going to keep my variable the same. So if you have a variable that you don't want to change, this will keep you from making any issues. So now we're simply going to add a basic function again. And in this function, we're declaring our const variable of Z is equal to 30, and then we're logging it out. So here you guys can see that it's 30. And again, you cannot redeclare this variable here, or you will get the same assignment to constant variable error message here. So there are a few more intricacies when it comes to the const keyword. So up here, I am declaring a variable called fruits using my const keyword, and it is equal to an array. And if I console.log this, it's simply going to print my array in the console here. So I am not able to reassign this variable to something else. So if I want to change fruits to maybe an object, like so here, it's not going to let me do this successfully. So it's going to say assignment to constant variable, because again, I cannot reassign a variable that's declared using const. But what I can do as far as arrays and objects go is I can change each value within my array here by simply typing fruits here and then specifying the value that I want to change. And since arrays are 0 indexed, I'm going to specify 0. So I want to change my apple variable to grape here. Now if I save this, get rid of this comment here, you're gonna notice that it does successfully change my 0 indexed value here from apple to grape. So keep in mind that you can change out information that is stored within an array or within an object inside of a const variable, but you are not able to completely change that variable from an array to an object, or from an array to a string, or from an array to a number. So this is going to be the same idea when it comes to objects here. So you're going to notice that my object successfully prints out to my console here. And I cannot reassign my veggies variable to, let's say, an array, but what I can do is I can actually change the values within my object. Now, if I want to change vegetable 1 from carrot to something else, what I can do is specify my variable here, type a bracket, and then specify vegetable 1. And now I can make this equal to, let's say, lettuce. And now if I console.log veggies down below, what you're gonna notice over here is that my vegetable 1 is now lettuce instead of carrot. This change is only going to happen if you use your variable after you make the change. So that's the reason it's displaying here in this console.log and not in this one, because JavaScript reads from top down to the bottom here. We always recommend that you use exclusively let or const, because they keep you from making a lot of mistakes and they keep you from running into errors in the future. And use let when you need to reassign a variable later on in your code, and use const when you don't need to change that variable in the future. If you guys have any questions, let us know down below in the comments of this video, or go to our website at kalmanwebdesign.com and we will help you out. Thanks so much for watching.